Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love, a love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service.
Arise, our souls,
Good morning. I'm Don Dickey, a member of All Souls. It's my privilege to welcome you here on actually an unusually pleasant fall day. And whether you are here in the room or online watching us, we're glad you're participating. Your participation enriches all of us and our time together. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Our tradition is a large tent with room for many beliefs and approaches to the questions that matter. That said, our values of inclusion, compassion, and justice are strong and hold us together. We seek to build the beloved community, making room for everyone and creating a world where everyone's needs are met. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. You may be new here this morning. Welcome. I hope that you have visited the welcome table in the lobby where you can learn more about our congregation. Now, join me in welcoming back to our service Charles Dickinson, who is not only our pianist this morning, he is the composer of several of the pieces in today's service. So look at your order of service and it will designate those. So you're getting a presentation, a performance by the composer. So welcome, Charles.
I have come from beyond the grave to give you a dire warning. Or maybe I'm just Reverend Erin in a spooky costume. I am the Reverend Erin Dajka Holley, the lead minister here at All Souls. It is the Sunday before Halloween, All Hallows Eve or All Saints Eve. This morning, we will remember those who have died in the last year. Think about ghosts and ghost stories and be frightened by the children's pumpkin parade right here at the end of the service. After the service, there are multiple things going on. If you are new here and have questions, or if you've been here for a while and have questions, we have a couple of members who will meet you here right in the front of the Bragg Auditorium. After the service, take a minute to get a cup of coffee and come back, and it'll just be an informal time for your questions and to talk about what's going on here. Also, after the service, some of our young people will share their new drumming skills with us for a performance out on the patio. Also, our religious education director, Melanie Yakel, and I welcome families with children and their children's friends and any children or grandchildren you know to come back to our parking lot at 2 o'clock for our first annual trunk or treat. So, let us bring ourselves into this space with these opening words by Andrea Hawkins Camper. Gather we now into this space, this time when the wheel turns and the veil shatters. Gather we now to remember, to grieve, to prophesy, to complete our harvests before the long dark comes. Gather we now to tell the old stories and sing the old songs, to be as we have always been, the voice of our people eternal. Gather we now to celebrate that which was, that which is, and that which will be. Gather we now, as we have always done, united by story and bound by love.
We light this chalice to remember the light within, to know that the hunger we feel inside is an echo of inner wisdom that wants something more for us, for others, for the weary, yet wonderful world. Please stand as you are able and join in the affirmation of our covenant, then remain standing as we join together in song. Together we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Ancient traditions marked the fall as a time when the world died, and watching the warmth, the green, and the long days of summer fade to chill, brown and shorter days, it served as a reminder of death. And so in many cultures, it is at this time that those of us living remember those who have died. Let us mark this moment in the cycle of the seasons and of life together. We remember those of this church community who have died in the last year with fondness and care. Carol Chelsis, Carol Harson, Jefferson Lewis, Janet Moss Brown, Jan Cohen, Rita Morton, Peggy Schrock, Patricia Goss Amering. We remember those who made an impact in the world and have died in the last year with sorrow and with the hope that comes with what they have accomplished. As you feel moved, please speak aloud the names that come to you. And we also remember those who have been a part of our own lives and have died. Whether they died in the last year or long before, we hold our grief and the deep sense of love that will never end. So many of us have lost parents, grandparents, siblings, close friends, family, all part of a wide, interconnected web of loss. We may not be able to tell all of their stories today, but we can say their names. And in speaking their names, we remember them, how they have impacted our lives, and share our love for them with each other. As you feel moved, please speak aloud their names.
Kristen and Maureen Anderson. Lois Smithson. Chuck Platt. Jay Kaler. Susie Scooter Sarah. Mabel Webster. Clyde Antos. Mary Jane and Bill Kaler. Glenn and Alice Doyle. Dick Dawson.
And in a few moments, I will invite you to a more personal moment of remembrance. Well, you will be able to go to one of the 4 bowls. There's 2 here, one up by the tech deck and another one back there, that you will be able to take a pinch of salt and add it to the water. You may speak their name aloud then as well to remember, or hold it deep in your heart. Salt and water are reminiscent of the tears that we cry in our loss, our love, our grief. And those tears are a release of pressure. We often feel better after we've shed a tear. So we hope that through today's tears, we can experience the healing that we need through this symbolic act. Once salt dissolves in the water, we can't see it anymore. It's still with us in some ways and gone in others, just like we carry our loved ones in our hearts, even as we don't see them physically present in our lives anymore. And so when you are ready, come to one of the 4 bowls of water and of salt with this community of remembrance and love. Frank Z. Dajka, Glenn and Dorothy Holley.
Glenn and Alex Doyle, Mary Jane and Bill Kaler, Maureen and Kristen Anderson and others.
The memories of all we have named in this space this morning and of all we have named in our hearts are here with us because we remember them. And we will always hold those memories as holy and sacred. Amen. We now sing our children to their classes so they can decorate more pumpkins and then come share them with us with the pumpkin parade.
Go now in peace, may love guide all your ways. Beauty be the blessing of your nights and days. Truth on your lips and kindness in your deeds. Faith to follow where the human spirit leads. Good morning, my spooky friends. I am Jamie Taylor, a new member of the board and a member of this beautiful congregation. This morning, I want to share some words from Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein.
She is the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greater Lynn, Massachusetts. I don't have the date of the sermon, but it was added to the uua.org January 21st, 2015. The offering is a sacrament of the free church. We say in our church that the offering is a sacrament of the free church. What we mean by that is that we believe it is a blessing to be able to govern and support our religious community ourselves, to make possible by our generosity and everything we dream of and do to live out our shared values. Every week, we lift up the spiritual value of generosity by taking an offering for the ministries of this church. Or today, it's for the general budget. Our plate then, as it is passed among us, becomes filled with the evidence of that generosity. It is our harvest gathered in every week for what most nourishes us. This offering shall now be graciously given and gratefully received. Please join me in the dedication of our offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
Our first reading today comes from Why We Should Believe in Ghosts by Talk Thompson. As a mythology scholar at the University of Southern California, who has studied and taught ghost stories for many years, I have found that ghosts generally haunt for good reasons. These could range from unsolved murders, lack of proper funerals, forced suicides, preventable tragedies, and other ethical failures. Ghosts in this light are often seeking justice from beyond the grave. They could make such demands from individuals or from societies as a whole. For example, in the US, sightings have been reported of African American slaves and murdered Native Americans. Scholar Elizabeth Tucker from Binghamton State University of New York details many of these reported sightings on university campuses, often tied to sordid aspects of the campus's past. In this way, ghosts reveal the shadow side of ethics. Their sightings are often a reminder that ethics and morality transcend our lives, and that ethical lapses can carry a heavy spiritual burden. Yet ghost stories are also hopeful. In suggesting a life after death, they offer a chance to be in contact with those that have passed, and therefore a chance for redemption, a way to atone for past wrongs.
Our second reading today is a poem by A.E. Stallings, a contemporary woman poet. The title is Apotropaic, which means intended to ward off evil. Pity evil, his quaintness and old-fangled manners, his age, his nerves so raw that bells and firecrackers leaves him spooked and jangled. Shy of onion, garlic, pungent smells, his stomach thrown off by a pinch of salt. He hankers for blandness like an invalid. He stands on ceremony. He will halt when not invited in. You can be rid of his presence by vulgarity. Eschew his curious eye by spitting, and offend his queer aesthetics with the color blue. Beauty attracts him. He's quick to befriend the lucky, the talented, the heaven sent. At your service, if not your command. Courtly, brought close by a compliment, bowing with his black hat in his hand.
Thank you, Charles. I asked you for spooky. You came through. It was great. They sit in the dark, hold an audio recorder, and ask questions to the air around them. Who are you? What is your name? Will you let us know that you're here? Could you make a loud noise so we can hear you? It's silent. And then the spooky crescendos music. And then suddenly the music stops for a commercial break. This is the quintessential moment in a paranormal investigation show. I know that these shows, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Brothers, which is 3 black ghost hunters who make a lot of jokes about what happens to the black guy in horror movies, and my current favorite, Kindred Spirits. They're reality TV. They're not documentaries. They have predictable structures, and rarely do they decide that a place isn't haunted. Paranormal experiences, whether actually caught on camera or not, are essentially guaranteed in every episode. Yes, it is possible or likely that the producers make sure something happens. And still, I can't stop watching. These shows are my go-to background noise as I go about my time at home. Folding laundry, my laptop's on my bed, my earbuds are in my ears with one of these shows on. Cooking, the laptop's on the counter. Packing for a trip, my laptop is somewhere in the house while I go about with my earbuds in and listen. Now, I know that the formulaic nature of these programs, the fact that most things can be caught via audio, and that there aren't any deeper meanings or plots that require that I actually pay attention, are all of the reasons that these shows work well as background. But the same is true of a lot of reality TV, including, the Great British Baking Show. But I've been watching paranormal investigation shows for a few months now. These shows have held my interest enough that I haven't even tried to watch the latest season of Call the Midwife on Netflix. Because there's something more going on here for me than just background noise. It's like I want to witness these experiences of ghosts to prove to myself that they're real. Of course, my theology doesn't particularly leave room for life after death. I don't believe that my father is still with me 4.5 years after his death in any other way than in my own memories and those of others who knew and loved him. He's not watching over me. I don't expect to meet him in an afterlife. Everything that made him him has faded away, and his body turned to ash. He's not looking down on me, even though I knew that he was and would still be proud of me. So I don't cognitively believe in life after death or spirits, but I think I watch these shows because on some level I want ghosts or spirits or the supernatural to be real. Maybe it's that the thought of something remaining of the people of the past can then be more than objects and stories, deeper and present in ways that aren't manipulated by the way we speak of them. If only we could ask the person who died what really happened. Their motivations to do the right thing, or maybe the wrong thing, or some genuine piece of a deceased person's humanity, especially if they weren't able to leave their thoughts in writing or in voice recordings. If they're ghosts, they're somehow still there with their own story to tell. Maybe that's a piece of my interest. Psychologists point out that people who like scary stories and movies enjoy the adrenaline rush of fear, which creates both the fear and some amount of pleasure and excitement. But really, I think it's the mystery. Our faith, Unitarian Universalism, is a rational faith, which some may say is itself an oxymoron. But we name reason as a primary source. That we work with our own experiences and larger understandings to create an approach to making meaning that, quite frankly, makes sense. We draw heavily from scientific understanding and ethics based on the greater good and the presence of harm more than we consider the moral dictates from a God whom we cannot verify. I grew up that there must always be an answer, and I was always expected to be able to provide one. So there is something about not knowing that comes with its own meaning and power for me. There's room for not having an answer and juggling that inside and realizing that it actually feels good to not know. So I don't know whether ghosts exist. They don't make sense in my own observations of the world. But what if they were real? What if the scratchy, garbled sounds on paranormal investigators' audio recorders that seem to respond to their questions were really some kind of energy of a person who otherwise no longer exists? What if? The world might be a richer place if it were true. Things outside of what I can easily detect somehow open up space for possibility, for metaphors to come to life, for hope. Just because the goodness isn't immediately tangible to our senses doesn't mean that it isn't there. And that goodness able to break through even the greatest of horrors. Something more is present that opens up what might come to pass, even though it isn't evident. And I think we need that, and I need that right now. While our country is at a point of civil conflict between differing worldviews that is entrenched, us versus them, and win at all costs, I feel that underlying conflict within me. The sense of being constantly under threat in even a tiny way leaves me less resilient, less able to respond out of my own values and with love. It's wearing me down, making everything harder. And then add in the wars. Israel against Gaza and Hezbollah and Lebanon, and now striking out at Iran, Russia trying to seize Ukraine and getting North Korea involved, China indirectly threatening to attack Taiwan, and the civil war in Sudan that is constantly on my heart because our own custodian, El Safi, has family still there and had planned to visit them in the last year, but can't. Because he can't even enter the country at this point. The hope is not evident. And the uncertainty that war would end, that our own country might not devolve into violence and authoritarianism, that natural disasters could lessen, all of it weighs on me. I assume that uncertainty weighs on you too. And And somewhere there has to be room beyond the evidence that we can provide reassurance that all might be well. So I live more deeply into the uncertainty. I seek out where the mystery of the universe becomes evident, letting me know that there is more to this world than I can imagine that might bend the arc toward justice. Somehow, evidence for ghosts that may or may not be fabricated is making the impossible seem possible for me. And it provides a strange, maybe macabre comfort in these times. And of course, this being the month of October, I've been watching some horror movies. Last week, I rewatched all 3 of the Conjuring movies and a couple of others in their larger series. I've known for a while that I enjoy supernatural horror, but not the slasher films. There's room in my mind for evil outside of humans, but I hate to watch people terrify and hurt one another. It's this internal knee-jerk reaction of just how wrong it is for people to hurt people. But that leaves me to wonder about my own relationship to the concept of evil, what it is and what it might mean. So this evil that I tolerate watching, an evil from outside of humanity, is one that philosophers simply don't talk about anymore. Now, there are Christian traditions that hold on to Manichaean dualism, that there is a battle between good and evil being fought over our souls, evil being what has trapped our inherently good spirits in base bodies that tempt us toward evil acts. This dualism doesn't work for me at all. But the thought that some evil force is causing horrors to happen feels more acceptable to me than placing horror and evil in the hands of people. Of course, I don't base my theology on this preference, but it allows me that odd sense of comfort again, because our world is filled with horrors. It is filled with people who can act out of malice, causing harm of all kinds, and we are surrounded by institutions and societal norms that do not judge these actions as evil. I may not like it, but I know that all evil beyond natural disasters is caused by some way by people. So what is evil? I find myself appreciating Claudia Card's approach. She asserts that evils are reasonably foreseeable, intolerable harms produced by inexcusable wrong. Let me break that down. It is evil when someone or someones engage in doing something wrong that cannot be excused. When that wrong causes really bad harm that could be predicted to happen. I characterize it with the word cruelty. Someone or someone's intentionally harm someone or someone else. And the harm is not an accident or an unintended consequence. We know, and it is asserted by humanists, that the vast, vast majority of people value relationship, cooperation, and generally being good to one another. Because when we are good to one another, we all do well. And we are wired in a way that doing good is pleasurable. I feel pleasure when I can tell that someone knows from my actions that I care about them. It's a cycle of goodness. And it is so natural that we've codified it as the right way to live. So when something falls outside of that norm of being good and acting rightly, it jars us. We almost can't believe that someone could do that. It is horrific, beyond our understanding, and that's when we use the word evil. Is it a surprise that we might seek for an explanation of those actions that is beyond a person's humanity? We have every reason to structure our worldview on the goodness of those around us. And evil action breaks apart that worldview, and we lose trust. And how is it possible that people could have done it? So evil can be that reassuring outside force that causes this to happen. In The Conjuring, it's literally demons. And that functions as an explanation that allows our worldview to continue. But despite the comfort supernatural forces of evil may provide, this formulation of evil allows for the continuation of evil. It allows us to accept that evil is inherent, that we cannot do anything about it, and it saves us from taking action. And the same is true with assigning someone as being inherently evil or of evil character. The problem is then. So let us take out all of our fears caused by this horror on a single person without considering a larger context. So you might be able to see the theological place I'm going with this. Behind my discussion of evil rests the assertion that people are inherently good and capable of engaging in right action. There are no evil people, even if there are people who are willing to engage in cruelty, hatred, and horrific actions that we would call evil. Also, it is impossible to fully divorce individuals from their contexts. So we can think about institutions, whether they're cultural institutions or institutions that are more defined as organizations. People create these institutions, and they engage in horrors and evil. And those institutions that allow free rein and encourage cruelty lead to evil actions. The greatest horrors have been supported by institutions. Slavery, institution. Forced migration, an institution. War, the institutions of nations. Police brutality, the institution of the police. Military actions, systemic oppression. The gun lobby, climate change denial, etc. Institutions encouraged the cruelty of the Holocaust. Otherwise, good people for whom horrors have been made acceptable by the institutions around them. So we've got good people that the institutions around them make space for them to act in evil ways. The greatest harms occur when larger messaging normalizes hatred, cruelty, and violence. And this is why we must not see evil as an outside force or the realm of evil individuals. Because that's cop-outs from doing the larger work of changing our institutions and changing our culture. It is we who allow evil to thrive in our communities. And it is through love and right action that we might continue the long-standing work of challenging the norm that is accepting evil. We're tired from steeping in the evil around us for so long already. And it feels as though our actions can't make a difference to stop it or prevent it. It's easier to let it be somewhere else. nebulous thing, but only by seeing it around us can we do something about it. So let's name it for what it is. It is people allowing cruelty to fester among themselves, and only people who challenge that can stop it. Truly, we have among us many, many ghosts reminding us of the evils of the past and calling us to recognize the evils now. Let us listen to their stories, to be called into our better selves, living out our deep love for one another and the world. We may cultivate resilience, our ability to survive in the presence of evil and continue the work to dismantle it in our midst. Find comfort where you may. These are scary times. And feel everyone around you, supporting you, walking with you through the horrors and into a future we can imagine and create. You are surrounded by goodness, and that is something you can hold on to. May it be so. Please join in our closing hymn, We Laugh, We Cry. If you grabbed a hymnal, it is only verses 1 and 3. Flame, but not, sorry, the words are not in front of me. We release this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Take courage, friends. The way is hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. And let the pumpkin parade with its spooky costumes and pumpkins begin.